Hey guys, welcome back. So in preparation for One World Under Doom, Sorcerer Supreme Doom has decided to call out the Avengers, because before he gets started, he wants to ask them one question. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so for this one, we pick up in orbit at the Impossible City, which has been the Avengers' sentient headquarters for about a year now. And it's here where we see T'Challa telling Sam Wilson, Captain America, that he suddenly decided to go on a recon mission into Tesseract space inside of Meridian Diadem. And Sam admits that the timing of this is pretty weird, because much earlier in Avengers Volume 9, the heroes fought and defeated the Ashen Combine, who were a group of villains that traveled the multiverse destroying worlds. And I mean, you'd be surprised how many groups of villains do that these days. Like, I'm surprised more of them haven't crossed paths. But after placing them in stasis, there's still the issue of one of the members named Meridian Diadem, who has thousands of people imprisoned within them. And for a while, there's been this debate between Tony and Carol as far as what they should do with the Ashen Combine. Is rehabilitation an option? In addition to the fact that Carol doesn't want the Avengers to be holding prisoners of any sort on top of that. So there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved concerning the Ashen Combine, much of which has been on the back burner for about a year, since so many other events have happened since, like Fall of the House of X or Twilight Dreaming. So yeah, this has been on the back burner as far as things that the Avengers will get around to for quite some time. And so with T'Challa volunteering to handle this, Sam tells him, I suppose the timing has nothing to do with the fact that your ex-wife just joined the team, which in that case is referring to Storm, who recently joined the Avengers after Sam asked her to come aboard and be the voice for mutants. Because prior to this, Sam really felt like the Avengers had been failing mutant kind, to say the least. So by having Storm come back to the Avengers, he's hoping to change that. And in addition to this is something that Thor also really wanted, because recently, with Thor having to step down as an Avenger due to murder accusations that are still pending, this had Thor in a place where, even though he was stepping away, he still wanted the Avengers to have a God of Thunder in their ranks. And if by chance you need to get caught up on what's going on with Thor, we're still covering that in Immortal Thor, and I have that link down in the description. But again, it's pretty clear to Sam that T'Challa's choosing this dangerous mission to avoid having an awkward conversation with Storm. And T'Challa admits that it's true, and he even tells him, I've never been afraid of death, Sam, only losing. And losing Aurora Monroe is my greatest failure. And it's like, man, T'Challa, you need to put that at the beginning of an R&B song and go and get it back, dawg. But overall, the team is happy to have Storm here, even though for the time being, T'Challa is letting his pride get the best of him. And Storm is well aware of that, by the way. And she knows that T'Challa is more than capable of handling this recon mission as well. So in a way it works out because T'Challa's doing something that needed to be done. Though at the same time you can tell this is T'Challa being written away from the team so that Marvel can have that story of him and Storm having that conversation at a later time. And so after T'Challa leaves, this just has the Avengers waiting for his extraction signal. But instead, the next thing they hear is the Impossible City informing them of a priority mission coming in. And it's one they expected, which is why they told the Impossible City, when it comes, just let it through. And that is precisely what happens, because the next thing they hear is, hello Avengers, it is time. Doom would speak with you, as the Avengers receive a call from none other than Sorcerer Supreme Doom himself. Because they knew after Blood Hunt, when Doom borrowed the title of Sorcerer Supreme indefinitely from Doctor Strange, he was gonna act up at some point with this borrowed title. Because Doom said he would give it back, eventually. But they knew when this happened, it wasn't but a matter of time before they'd hear from him. And so to have this conversation with Doom, this takes the Avengers out to the desert in Afghanistan, with it being the location of Doom's choosing to have this discussion with the Avengers. And as soon as they get there, Carol's like, okay, be ready for anything. But when Doom arrives, he's in his astral form, while commending the heroes for being prompt, since his time's too valuable to be wasted. And you can tell from Wanda here, there's a bit of frustration coming from the hero's end, because she asked him, so Victor, or your astral form at any rate, you've stolen the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. Have you asked us here to justify yourself? Only for Doom to tell her, no, I've summoned you here to justify yourselves. And it throws them off at first, but this all comes together rather quickly. Cause next, Doom tells them, in my new position as Sorcerer Supreme, I've been meditating on the nature of power. As the Avengers, you represent one of the greatest concentrations of power in this world. So why have you let the world you have sworn to protect come to this state? Which is essentially Doom telling the Avengers, with all the power that they have, they failed to make the world any better as a result of it. And Doom more or less tells them that there are lesser men who have done more. Nations are split by war and hatred, injustice is the common currency, and the Avengers have just allowed this to happen. So Sam tries to get a word in here by telling Doom that it's pretty rich for someone like him to be talking about injustice. So Doom's more or less like, my bad, I should have made it clear earlier, because when Doom said he wanted to talk to the Avengers, he had no interest in anything Captain America had to say. So Carol tells him to spit it out. So Doom tells them, I have summoned you here to the Graveyard of Empires for the answer to one question. Why have you not taken this world in hand and set things right? And it's here where Sorcerer Supreme Doom goes on to show them, quite literally, why he wanted them to come to the Graveyard of Empires. And I mean, plenty of people argue on whether or not Afghanistan deserves that name. And I mean, if you do or you don't, that's up to you. But for those who do, for the most part it's based on the history of numerous empires who have attempted to invade, only for them to fail and have their empire collapse after. So what Doom is saying here is that any of the Avengers, with the exception of Captain America, is more than a match for any nation, because he asks them, what army could stand against you? And if you were to take 7 Avengers and put them together, where in that case, I guess you could include Sam Wilson, then 7 of them together would be more than a match for the world. So it's showing them this, Doom asks them what's holding them back. Is it lack of character, the cloak of cowardice that they call morality, or is it a fatal lack of imagination? So he tells them, perhaps it's the latter. Perhaps I should show you what you could be. So after this, one by one, Doom shows every Avenger here what he believes they should be. Started with Sam Wilson, where instead of being Captain America, he would be the captain of a unified world. And in the case of Captain Marvel, she would represent this unified world on the galactic stage among equals. Tony Stark could rid the world of weapons and war, while Storm could finally do what the Avengers and X-Men couldn't, which is secure the future of mutant kind. Vision could be freed from the imposition of human morality, free to burn the scourge of his ancestry from the face of the world, no matter the cost. Which would be pretty wild if Vision didn't hold back and did a clean sweep, creating a graveyard of Ultron remnants. And in the case of Wanda, the hero to the hopeless, Doom says she would finally live up to that name. Because Doom says she would finally exercise the power she keeps in check without fear of damaging the false structures of the world. And together, they would make it a good world, a right world, an Avengers world. But again, this isn't Doom showing them what he wants them to become. Because he tells them this is not what could be, this is what should have been. This is what true ethics would demand of those with true power. But at this point, Storm's just like, enough, I've heard enough. Because as Doom continues, this is no longer sounding like a question. So she calls for the winds to clear out the fight, and she tells Doom, you ask a question in such a way that the only answer possible is the one you wish, but the answers we have are not the ones you would like. And Tony adds on to this because he's familiar with this thing called war, and he tells Doom if the Avengers tried to control the world, it would be a war. And Tony's like, we would have to kill thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds. And that's just in the opening moves. A finer world can't be created like that. So, as expected, the Avengers, they're not going for this. Because their goal is to protect the world, not control it. And they're well aware of how powerful they are in comparison to any nation. But they also know good and well that they don't have the right to control anyone. So after hearing this, Doom's like, I see. I was incorrect. And right there, Tony's like, no way. I should have recorded that. But Doom isn't saying this because they've convinced him or changed his mind in any sort of way. But instead he tells them, I was incorrect. It wasn't a lack of imagination that held you back. It was cowardice. You, all of you, with such power, yet so afraid of that power. You've let your fear master you when you should have mastered this world. You let your fear make you small. But Doom has never been, will never be small. And there is nothing that can master Doom. Goodbye, Avengers. And just like that, his astral form is gone. So later on, when the Avengers get back to the Impossible City, they know good and well that they didn't change Doom's mind. And Vision even says here there was never a chance of that that wasn't what today was about. The purpose of Doom's little demonstration was not to change our minds or his. It was a thought exercise. We were props, his devil's advocates. Our only purpose was to aid him in troubleshooting his own thinking, to allow him to reinforce his own ideas, the rightness of them. He believes that he must do what we will not, and he now has the power to see it through. So yeah, all of this just brings us one step closer to one world under Doom. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/DopeSpill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.